everybody. In this video, we're going to explore a fantastic question that interests so many people, and that is whether numerology can predict the future. Can you predict your own future? Can you predict the future of your loved ones? And can you predict the future of events? For this, we're going to use an extraordinary example, which is the US elections. Yes, you got it right. Trump versus Biden. Now, I want to show you how I look at these details, what can be predicted, what can't be predicted, and how do we go about doing that. Now, before we proceed, let us answer a simple question. Can we predict our own future? Can we predict an outcome of an event? Can we know 100% for sure what's going to happen? The answer is, well, yes and no. You see, numerology, I always like to compare it to a good weather forecast. It shows us the trend of events. It shows us the seasons, the changing seasons, both in our own personal life and in events to come on a bigger scale. Now, a weather forecast is not a 100% accurate science. It does rely on information, but it cannot tell you 100% for sure what's going to happen. For example, the weather forecast can tell us that tomorrow is going to be partially sunny and towards the afternoon a little rainy. Now that can help us prepare ourselves, take an umbrella or take the suitable kind of clothing, but we cannot know exactly if it's going to rain. Sometimes it might change during the day, or if it does rain, we don't exactly know what amount of rain is going to be there. Some people, for example, would love to be in the rain. If it's just a little drizzle, for example, not everyone would not want to go out. You see, so even if I know the weather forecast, I cannot predict 100% how each and every person is going to behave in that situation. The same goes for people and for events. Although I can see the trends in people's lives, although I can see the approximate weather, the atmosphere, the environment, the learning environment they're going to experience during a specific time, I cannot know 100% how it's going to look like, and I cannot know for sure how they are going to respond to that specific environment. Exactly in the same way that I cannot tell you as a weather forecaster what's going to be the shape of the clouds and what's going to be the exact amount of rain that's going to pour. These are all details we can tell in retrospective. Now that we've covered that, let us move and look into the charts of Trump and Biden. So now let us take a look at the period cycles chart of both Trump and Biden, allowing us to understand their current lessons, the environment that they are in right now, the energies that move their lives, and through these details understand much more about what's possible and available to them. So I want to just say that I'm not adding in this video any personal opinion. I don't really care. As a numerologist, I hold a high level of professionality. I simply want to give the truth as much as I can see it. Now, take into account that although this video is published after we know pretty much the results, I am sharing with you something I've done with my students and the way I'm thinking already a week before the elections. So just to show you that this is pretty trustworthy. Now remember also that predictions can be either I know that this one wins or that one wins, but a prediction can also be it is absolutely tight and at this point in time we cannot fully know. So I'm going to share with you the results that we had just a week before the elections, and I'm showing you how I got to these these predictions. So to me, when I look at the numbers of Trump, I see 2, 8, and 4 in his cycle, pinnacle, and challenge, which means that the environment that he's in is much more conservative. 2, 8, 4 are all even numbers, and their energy is more grounded, but also more conservative, sometimes more like in a box, more kind of sticking to a certain opinion, even if it doesn't necessarily work. However, something more grounded, something that gives more security and confidence to people sometimes and to a person in themselves. If I look at Biden, I see 7, a 9, a 5, all of them odd numbers, interestingly. Okay, already an interesting difference between the two. All of them odd numbers, all of them revolutionary out of the box, thinking in different, more creative ways. When I look again at Trump, I see an 8. An 8 is a strong number, it's very decisive and assertive. However, it also thinks more about oneself. 8 is more about my wishes, my asserting of power. If I look at Biden, what sticks out to me is the 9. 9 is really a number of a leader. It's a great opportunity. As a matter of fact, 9 is perhaps the ultimate leader. Okay? Now, these are people that very often can bring enormous revolutions, can make people go after them, can bring something for the benefit of all. And that's the amazing thing about the 9. So that also sticks out to me. Let's look further. Trump. I see that he has a 2 and 8 combo. Now I want to look at the harmony between the numbers. 2 and 8 in their good or positive potential, when they function well, they can really empower others, okay? 2 is a very sensitive kind of number. It feels deeply into others, and 8 can really empower the people. However, if they don't function well, and unfortunately 2 and 8 are a pretty problematic combo when we come to numerology, when they don't work well, we see here like a very feminine energy, a very masculine energy with the 8, and very often the 8 dominates the 2, and we see that as an outward behavior in a person very often. So they become dominating, they stomp on sensitive energies, and that's what often happens with 2 and 8. We just have to be aware of that. Let's look at Biden again. We see a 7 and 9. 7 and 9 has a lot to do with wisdom and depth, and considering a complex situation and being able to handle complex situations. Now, in that sense, 7 and 9 work a little better together. So you see, I'm starting to kind of see the environment, the details of the environment they're in and the opportunities they're given. And so the 7 and 9 can actually handle very complex situation and bring some wisdom into the world, into the person, and as a result, into the world. And also they understand each other, 7 and 9, much better, which creates less of a conflict in the person. Moving on, we're going to check their personal years, okay? So we can see that Trump is in a 6 personal year, and Biden, having his birthday on the 20th of November, just a bit after I'm going to release this video, he's already moving into this energy of the 8. Now, we've already talked about the 8 as an energy of breakthrough, so we know that Biden, being in an environment of great leadership, inspiring leadership and wisdom, 7-9, is also being allowed and called for by life to a time of breakthrough and forward moving. Trump, on the other hand, is in a year number 6. He had his birthday on the 14th of June, so he's still pretty much in the beginning stages, or let's say into the 3rd of his personal year, and he's in a number 6. 6 is much more calm, harmonious. It's not like a breakthrough energy, which means that the energies are a bit winding down for Trump, so he's not in this kind of like very forward-going energy. Both 6 and 8 can signify some degree of success. However, normally 6 would be more like a financial thriving, and 8 can be financial thriving, but also the ability to make a leap, a breakthrough in any kind of endeavor. So here again, I'm seeing a little bit of an inclination towards Biden. However, it's still very tight, and I'll explain why. The thing is that all these details that I now explain are connected to Trump and Biden's personal life and personal opportunities. But the question that we have to ask ourselves as numerologists to give a real forecast is, what do the people want? Do the people want something more conservative, more, to keep what's already there and to go like in old-fashioned ways, something more dominant, right? This is a question. Or do the people want to change, a revolution, Do the people want to bring something new? Something that perhaps hasn't been there before? Something that is wiser, more complex, more rich? Right? So these are very important questions we have to check and ask ourselves. And this is not something we know for sure. Now we have to go and check what are the polls, what do the newspapers say? And we see that people are pretty much split at the moment. So we can see here very different approaches that can offer something pretty solid from both ends. It's not like I see something super weak on one side and something super strong on another. Had it been so, I would be more convinced as a numerologist. At this point in my prediction, I would say that it seems that both of them offer a very unique reality to the people. And because of that, and because the people are pretty much undecided, I believe, and that's what I told my students when they asked me my opinion, that it's going to be a really tight election. And I told them that at the moment, I cannot fully predict who's gonna take it. And that's the truth. That's the truth of this current prediction. I do lean, I would say, like a 0.5% towards Biden. I feel that there's a wish for revolution. So I think he might have a little chance. More, but just a tiny little bit. So that's just what I would see here. I'm going to show you yet another piece of information that will kind of wrap it up for this video. So the last piece of information I've added to all this prediction is our universal year as humanity. So it's very easy to calculate. You simply do 2020, that's our current year, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0, that equals 4. However, we're shifting very, very soon in 2021, which is 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1. That will give us a universal year of 5. Now, 5 is not about staying put. It's not about something conservative. 5 is about change. Now, interestingly, and I'll tell you a little secret, the number that represents the United States, I'm not going to explain now how I got to this is maybe for another video, is also 5. Which means that the universal year that we're stepping into as a world, as humanity, is touching the heart of the lesson of the United States, which is about freedom. Freedom, freedom, freedom. That's a calling of the number 5. This gives me, within this setting of details, again, some kind of hint that actually Biden is more what the world wants, a little bit more what the United States wants, ultimately, okay? Because he's dealing with odd numbers, even having a 5 here, and 5 again is an odd number. Numbers that are more versatile, that allow something different, something other, perhaps a new promise, a new pathway. It hasn't been trodden before. So here we go. We see here a little bit the way of thinking. Now, as you could see, I'm telling you my prediction. I'm telling you the forecast as I see it. I even show you the information I'm using. Of course, for more advanced numerology, there are more details to consider, but you could see that I cannot tell you 100% the truth. I can give you a pretty good estimation. And this is my take on the coming elections. Okay, so now that we've covered all of this, I want to tell you one last thing. You see, why do we want to know the future? And why do we want to know it for sure? You see, I want to say one very important thing. As a numerologist, I feel the responsibility to educate people to grow and become more empowered, more autonomous, stronger in their own self-authority and self-sufficiency. Now, when you want to know the future for sure, usually it stems out of fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear that you cannot control for sure the outcome of events. But remember this, whenever you want to know the future for sure, which is something that we cannot do, unfortunately, because reality is always an interplay between some known information and quite a lot of unknown information. And this dance creates the creativity of life and gives you a space to co-create with life. Now, if you take that away, if you rob yourself from that freedom, you're literally abdicating a lot of your power and thereby weakening yourself and your ability to move in life as a creator, as a conscious participant. On the other hand, when you work with the unknown, you find the details you can know, but you also leave open those that you can't. What happens is that you simply work creatively with life and you gain your own personal power. And that's, in my opinion, a much better, more conscious, healthier, and in the long run, much more empowering way to live.